Look at the sentence at the top of this screen. The rain started. It is factual, plain, and entirely forgettable. But watch as it expands into the text below. As dark clouds gathered above, heavy rain hammered against the windows like silver needles. Darkness, silence. You might read that second paragraph and assume it requires rare creative genius, or at least a massive, complicated vocabulary. It does not. The gap between a dry string of facts and a vivid story that pulls a reader in is simply the application of a specific toolkit. Applying this checklist allows you to rebuild boring sentences into descriptive scenes, regardless of how much writing experience you have. We call this checklist the VAF-SPUR framework, a step-by-step method to organize your thoughts and prevent your brain from feeling overwhelmed while you write. The first half targets your word choice. We swap weak actions for strong verbs, layer in precise adjectives, and apply figurative language, like similes, to paint clear pictures. The second half targets your structure. We engineer sentence variety, use deliberate punctuation to control the rhythm, and treat rewriting as an active, mandatory step. These tools allow you to design a specific emotional reaction in your reader. Let's deconstruct a problem sentence. This diagram starts with a common baseline. The dog ran. It provides an action, but leaves the reader completely blind. Where is the dog? Why is it running? Is it playing, or did it see a ghost? Upgrading the verb and dropping in one specific adjective solves that ambiguity. We get, the frightened dog sprinted. Instantly, the reader's perception shifts from apathy to concern. Now we apply punctuation and sentence variety to dictate suspense. We start with a complex, flowing clause to set the scene. As thunder rumbled above, the frightened dog sprinted across the empty street. Then we hit the brakes with two abrupt, isolated words: alone, afraid. By systematically answering basic questions using targeted grammatical tools, we built an entire scene. Let's test this framework on atmospheric details. Take a second baseline problem. The rain started. A clinical weather report feels flat, but as this flowchart shows, layering in sensory tools builds a tactile experience. We add a simile comparing the rain to silver needles, and use strong verbs to say it hammered against the glass. Wrapping those descriptive elements in a long sentence establishes a steady rhythm, which we then intentionally cut short with sharp single words: darkness, silence. Manipulating your sentence structure this way acts as a control dial for pacing. It dictates exactly how fast or slow the reader experiences the tension on the page. Now it's your turn. Your first practice prompt is "The wind blew." Beside it is a curated help box to jumpstart your vocabulary. Pause the video. Pick at least 3 tools from these columns, run them through the checklist, and draft your own rewrite. Here is one valid solution. The icy wind howled through the empty streets. Notice the mechanics here. The adjective icy forces a feeling of physical discomfort, while the verb howled injects immediate aggressive sound. Let's try 2 more. The girl walked home, and then the old house stood on the hill. For these, the help boxes will deliberately provide fewer suggestions. Reducing these hints forces you to rely more heavily on the VASP-SPUR steps you've just practiced. For the final challenge, the training wheels are completely off. Your baseline sentence is simply, "The door opened." No help, no hints. Go ahead and pause the video one last time. Rely entirely on your own imagination and the VASP-SPUR checklist to construct the scene. Let's review. The ancient door groaned as it slowly opened. Darkness spilled into the room, and the shadows seemed to crawl along the walls. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Silence. We harmonized evocative adjectives with strong verbs and used choppy, repetitive punctuation to maximize suspense. Great writers do not stop after the first draft. They ask why an action is happening, they add sensory details, and they persistently rewrite. A weak, boring sentence is never a failure. It is simply an unfinished foundation, waiting for you to pick up your toolkit and get to work.